Good afternoon, buongiorno. So, Saturday, and I'm back in France, and I still in the Ardennes. So, what I decided to do was find an air, and as it turned out, there's a museum at this air. Musee Guerre de Pait, and there it is. I've just done an hour and a bit round there, and it's a great little museum. €8 to get in, and it does basically the Ardennes history from 1870 Prussian War, First World War, Second World War, and there's even a bit of modern day peace values in there. Very quiet, but very good. It was a lot of the artifacts in there that I haven't seen in other museums. So I've driven from Bastogne to here, and I'm in between the Belgian border and Reims. And well, the van, it's not playing up. It's running lovely, no faults, no problems, apart from an EDC light. A red light keeps flashing on the dash. Now I think it's a sensor. Could be fuel filter, could be a sensor. There's a couple of three things it could be. I think it's a sensor because it rained hard and it was really quite wet, and I think that rain's interfered with one of the sensors. Anyway, no sooner as I tried to diagnose it that the problem's gone away. So I think it might just be one of those intermittent things that happens when you've got a little bit of rain. But anyway, so hopefully it's nothing serious. I very much doubt it is. But yeah, I'll drop a What3 Words for this little place, and it's a good little museum. And you've got a football club over there, Pot de Fleur, but this is a park for night apparently. I don't know how. I'm not staying. I'm just watching the end of the football, and then I'm getting on the road, and I'm heading towards Dunkirk, and I shall be home probably Easter Monday, the way things are going. Running out of France. Okay. Bah. We are here, Catillon-sur-Sambre, which is off the beaten track between Saint-Quentin and Arras. It is a designated park for night, and it is an air. It has some facilities, but I'm not sure. Well, it's definitely rubbish, but it's just a little picnic area, really. You've got a lake over there, and you've got a canal over here. And I'm going to stop here for the night. There's 3 other vans in here. I'm just going to get the rest of that sun, get the deck chair out, hanky on my head. I've been on the road about 3 hours today, that's all. A couple of 100k, all non-toll. It's been nice. It's just a sleepy little village. Looks like there's a farm there. A couple of businesses and lorry haulage people use this. Oh, there's so they've got electric there. I've read the write-ups on Park for Night, and it's maintained by the locals. So perfect little stopover. Yeah, I'm on my way home. I'm going to go and look at some more German structures, hopefully, if I can get to them. But some between the Belgian border, or this side of Ostend, Dunkirk, Calais. There's a whole rake of them through there. So that'll probably be tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Not sure how close I can get with the van, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Had an EDC light on, as I've already said. That's gone away. This magic. I think there's water on a sensor. I think that's what the issue is, and then it's obviously flickering because the ABS light came on soon after the EDC light went off. But again, the van wasn't playing up, didn't lose any power, wasn't in limp mode, which seems to be, the EDC seems to be something to do with fuel filters and things like that. Well, I just think it's the sensor. Very hard to diagnose, but yes. So this is my Saturday evening. Going to cook myself something to eat. Got some pasta, but I might have a baguette. Get some of that cheese used up. Okay, that's enough for now. Bye. Good morning. I've showered. Catching up on some vintage Jammy Gits. And very, very quiet last night. All I could hear was the wind. The wind got up. So good little park up this, apart from the obvious, but if you look beyond that, it's a nice little spot, and it's I'd say it's about 25 kilometres from Arras. Your Arras. But so showered, emptied the grey water. I've got the showering down to a 10-litre fine art. I don't know how I do it, but all the water from the shower just tipped the brim of the bucket. So I've got a collapsible bucket I just stick under there. And then the grey waste is over. That saves me reversing across it and disturbing the guy there. There's a couple of fishermen on the canal. So good little park up. I will put this on the What3 Words. Very shortly. And yeah, so today I'm off to head towards the Port de Calais and see what we can find up there. It's less than a 2-hour drive from where I am now, so all good. And then heading back. And it's been great. This is great here. There's a lake there as well. I don't know if that's a fishing lake. But we are on Easter Sunday. So, happy Easter. Okie dokie. Ta-ra for now. Hello, we are here, back in Belgium. So I've flipped across between Dunkirk and Ostend to a museum called the Atlantikwall Riverside. and we're going to have a look, see what's lurking in its walls. It's a good little park up. There's no signs to say you can't park for night, although it isn't on park for night. There's a campsite just across between us and the dunes and then the North Sea. But yes, I'm going over there. So there's a World War II observation post there, like one of their radars, I think. I can see some thatched houses over there. But I think our main battery runs across this high point here. So we'll go and have a look at that. Bit blustery, but the weather's pretty good. Sun's out, so all good. Let's go and take a look. So this is Atlantikwall, Raverside. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's on the North Sea coast between Ostend, Belgium, Dunkirk, France. Built between 1940 and 43, but some of this is World War One. I don't know which part of that will probably become more apparent as I get in. I've come the long way round to avoid the crowds. It's Easter Sunday, so it's relatively busy. Lots of Germans. And you've got Ostend Airport, which is there. I don't think it's an international airport. It looks like an old military airport. But yeah, first impressions. Nice dog walking area by the sea. That's got some interesting reinforced concrete bunkers. Let's take a look. But yeah, definitely a place to come and walk your dogs before you get in the ferry back or the tunnel back, because we're probably 10 or 15 kilometres from the tunnel, and you can get the ferry from Dunkirk into the UK. Okay, so pretty immediately you can tell the difference between a early fortification, probably early 19th century, but it's a fortified bridge. And this is a little bit off the beaten track. So you've got an early structure there. And then you've got a 1940s built structure there. And then you've got the natural embankment of the beach behind. I'm a little bit lost. I've come off the beaten track thinking I could get round, but I'm not sure if I can, so I'm going to go back. And also, although I said I wasn't going to take the dusty route, I've ended up on the dusty route. That's anti-aircraft emplacement, and it's still got an original gun there, like a 50 cal probably. Go and have a look at that. I've got to walk back though the way I came. Absolutely pristine beach. Absolutely pristine beach, not a mark on it. Anyway, let's get out of this wind. So I've made it to the sea. Ostend, Dunkirk, and a very fast tram. Knocker. Hiya! Ostend Airport. It is an international airport, but during the occupation, the Germans moved it here from the original airport and built their own. And this was a strategic starting point for the Battle of Britain for the Germans. And it's remained the main airport ever since. This would have been a battery here, and these would have been covered tunnels to get from the beach into one of the bunkers, which is just where that person there is standing. There's a bunker there. And then I'm going to walk along this path here, because this path looks very dusty with the wind and the sand coming off the sea. But the beach looks... Let's go find some big structures. They've actually made a kids' playground area out of one of the casemates here. And you would have had a hatch there with a tabrook on it, what they called a tabrook, which is a hatch. Probably would have had an observation or even a machine gun out of it. And then where it's all been backfilled, probably would have had a artillery piece in there. And these would have all been connected via tunnels. And they built these things all the way from the edge of Spain, all the way up the Atlantic coast to Norway. And they did that in less than 4 years. It was complete, which is mind-blowing, really. And all the Allies did when they invaded in Normandy was bypass them all. Calais and Dunkirk were heavily fortified, but further down the coast they were more sporadic, and that's obviously where they came in. One of the reasons why they came in at Normandy. One, because they wasn't expecting them there, and two, on the British and the American point of view, or the Allies' point of view, it was less fortified, but still significant, but not like here. And although they're crudely built, they're pretty well built. All they are is 4-inch timbers to form, and the inside is formed out of timber, and then just mass poured by hand, I would hasten to add. Oh look, and it's now Bat Haven, which is great. It's hanging bats in there, but you can see the grain of the timbers. So they were timbered each side probably 2-3 meters thick, reinforced with steel, and then just poured. And these were done by slave labour or forced labour. These wing walls aren't as thick, but the internal structure is probably 2 meters thick. And all they would have done was dug the material here, in pits here, mixed it, and then got it up into chutes and just shot it into where they needed it. And that kind of design was then copied by certain architects in the 60s in the South Bank of London. They used the same technique, and they called it brutalism. So if you go to the National Theatre in London, it looks very similar to a bunker. Caused outrage in the 60s when they built it, but actually, I think they're pretty cool. Having worked with steel and concrete, you do come to appreciate it, although it does look ugly, yes. There's a reason they called it brutalism. Anyway, onwards. There's an in situ Pait 40. With the armoured doors. And there's another one. That's approximately the same size gun as what the British were putting in the Sherman tank. It's original and all that, dated 1940. And decorated. Awesome. It's not a big one. That's an anti-aircraft gun, probably 20 centimetre. Sorry, 20 millimetre. You can't see that in the distance, but there's a funny shaped bunker up there. Be interesting to see what that is. Lots of tourists, lots of Germans, no doubt admiring German engineering, as I am. Filled concrete sandbags. A technique we still use today in bridge culverts. The idea is you fill the bags up with concrete, the Hessian bag rots and leaves you a perfectly formed, I doubt that's 1940, but still looks pretty good. Header walls. Mental. I suppose for 3.5, 4 years, I guess for the people stationed here, it's a bit like a holiday camp. Because the idea was to set off his invasion of Britain once he'd defeated the Air Force, but he never did that, and his attention then was at Russia. So things basically came to a halt here until we decided to move back. It's not a million miles away from the the Dunkirk story. Might head up to that way tomorrow. And then some of the sea defences that they would have had on these beaches. Pretty scary stuff. So, and they just place mines on top of them, so when the tide's in you can't see them. Any boats coming in, boom, you can see them. When the tide's out, you know, designed to do as much damage to boats, landing craft. And there's a Tobruk, which is a little steel turret just sticking out of the ground, impossible to see. That probably would have had a machine gun out of it or a small artillery gun. Oh, it's pretty. Oh, he's got his Edelweiss on the wall. Very homely. His beer, his dog. Like I say, it would have been very peaceful for a number of years, at least 3.5 years. And then every morning, I bet he just done his stretches, had a look out, make sure there weren't no ships there, report back, all is clear, back to bed. Nice artillery piece. What is that? That's a replica of a 12cm field cannon. Mental, really. Oh, I want to go that way. It's great. There he is, menacing look. Oh, big gun. What we got in here then? That's a big gun. 105mm. That's a U-boat cannon. So that's the gun that would have been on the front of a U-boat. Oh, mental. The engineering into it is mental. And they just lock themselves in and fire away. I farted in there. It's safe to say they were pretty much impregnable. I'd say these are barracks. Oh, would have been a big gun here. Again, probably a ship gun, 38mm, 380mm, 38cm. And instead of bunk beds, I'd say these were storage for the ammunition, I guess. Oh look, he's got nets on. Oh, ammunition. Latrine. These are Admiralty. I thought most of the bunkers were housed by the Luftwaffe. Oh, it's pungent in here. So it's an observation point. So these are the Dunkirk ships. Sunk in 40. Then identification marks for all the planes. I think this is original, look. It's all Bakelite. And so that's bolted on here. Wow. Nice. Oh, crikey. Fucking mental. It just goes on for miles. Right, that's me done. Well worth a visit. Just it's wetlands. You know, there's plenty of wildlife, as in birds, to look at. If you're not into all this relic business and bunker business. But it's well worth a visit. It will open your eyes to how they were living in occupation. But if not, it is worth a good visit because there's plenty to see. And even if you just want to walk. So I'm going to see how far I can get up this end now. And there's always one that wants to drive right up to the gate. Luxembourg. Let's see when he they didn't contribute, the old Luxembourgians. Anyway, this is the campsite here. Okay. So from this part of Northern Europe, see you in the next one, wherever that may be.